Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com.
Hi, this is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. This is episode 927 of the Tech Guy radio show, recorded Saturday, November 17th, 2012. Enjoy!
The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ring Central. We do everything in the cloud. That's why I love my cloud-based phone system from Ring Central. Zero startup costs, and Ring Central is $20 per month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial. Buy one desk phone, get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWiT.
Well, hello there. Welcome. Come on in. The tech is fine. I'm Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, who is off on a fabulous Australian cruise with a bunch of Mac geeks, I understand. And they got quite a show. They were in Australia, in the Coral Sea, actually, looking at the total eclipse of the sun. Certainly something on my bucket list. I have not yet seen a total solar eclipse, and I would love to. And so I'm a little bit jealous of Leo for having that opportunity out at sea, no less, which they could get away from all the lights and everything and really, really have the full experience. But you know what? If I can't see a solar eclipse, the next best thing in the world is sitting here talking to all of you. I just love doing this, and I encourage Leo to take lots of vacations so that I can sit here and talk to you about my favorite subject, which is home theater. Of course, when Leo's here, he talks about everything, anything with a chip in it, cell phones and computers and everything else. But when I'm here, I get to dig deep into home theater and help a lot of people out there who have a lot of trouble with home theater, you know, setting up your TV, which receiver should I buy, what about my speakers, my subwoofer. All of that stuff is what we get to talk about for the next 3 hours, and I am thrilled to be here to do that with you. And I'm also thrilled to be joined today by Ross Jones, who is a writer and... Are you a senior editor? Is that your...
Senior editor.
Senior editor. So the few gray hairs I see there are well earned, I can tell. He's the senior editor at Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity. The website URL is hometheaterhifi.com, where I am privileged to be contributing a few things here and there myself. Ross, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, Ross, you have been in this business a long time. It's not your day job, but you've been an audiophile for a long time, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right. Back from really about 30 years, kind of originally got into it, and been writing for about the last 10 years professionally.
Mm-hmm. And you're also a musician.
Yeah, I've played electric bass in various bands for on and off about 30 years, so that kind of gives me an additional insight into the low end of things, and probably why I enjoy reviewing subwoofers so much.
Exactly. So listen, if you have a question about subwoofers, today is the day to ask, because Ross here is quite the expert there. And I agree with you that being a musician really helps when you're reviewing audio products. I myself have been a professional musician for close to 40 years now. And so I know what live music sounds like, and I know what good reproduced music sounds like, having been in recording studios off and on for my whole time that I've been doing that. So I think between the two of us, we should be able to answer just about anything that comes up here. Let's see. We're working on the call screener right now, and there's a password that has to be entered, and I don't know what it is. So I'm hoping that one of my fine engineers here in Petaluma at the Brick House studio, where I am sitting in Leo's august position, will be able to come in and enter that password, because I don't know what it is. And you know these passwords, you get a comma wrong or a capital or a non-capital, and it's toast. But in any event, we're going to be talking today, as I said, about home theater. And if you have a question, all you have to do is call that fabled number, 8888 Ask Leo, which, of course, today you're going to be asking Scott, but you still need to call that number, 8888 Ask Leo, which translates, for those of you who would rather not find those numbers on your phone, to 888-827-5536. So there were a number of things I wanted to talk about today and throughout the show, which we will get to. Certainly, one of them is The Hobbit. Are you looking forward to The Hobbit, Ross?
Yes and no. You know, I was not as much of a Tolkien fan as probably I should have been.
Well, there's no should have been here. You know, in college, of course, I read all those books, and I wasn't a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. What about you?
I enjoyed the movies.
Did you?
I did, and perhaps because I wasn't so polluted with having really immersed myself in the books, I could kind of go into it a little bit more as a fresh experience.
Okay, well, that's a reasonable approach, I'd say. I found them to just be so much running and chasing and fighting and running and chasing and fighting, and that was about all there was to it for me.
You see, for me, that's quality cinema.
That's quality cinema. I like it. Okay. But, of course, The Hobbit is coming up now, and there are a few really, really interesting things about The Hobbit. Peter Jackson, of course, is making it, as he did the Lord of the Rings series. And it opens December 14th, so just under a month from now. The big news here, other than the fact that it's in 3D, which the Lord of the Rings movies weren't, is that he's shooting it at a high frame rate. Are you familiar with this concept?
I'm familiar with the concept. What is he shooting it at?
He's shooting it at 48 frames per second, which is twice what normal film is shot at. And you probably haven't seen any examples of 48 FPS or frames per second footage, because it hasn't been widely available. I saw it at the NAB show last April, and it's remarkable. It really is. The motion of cameras panning around and of people moving around and things moving around, much, much sharper than in 24 frames per second. Nowadays, when I go to a movie and things move around, it gets all totally blurry, and I notice it. This is part of the problem of studying this stuff, is that you get to a point where you start seeing it. In the old days of film, I got to see the projection, the reel change marker. Every 20 minutes or so, there'd be this black dot up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Did you ever notice that?
I did, in fact, notice that. And didn't the old days, when they shot at 24 frames per second, the projection, there'd actually be a shutter that would drop down twice a second or something?
Correct. And that's a very good point. That's called double flashing or even triple flashing each frame, which was meant to sharpen the motion somewhat, and it did. It eliminated jitter or judder, which is at 24 frames per second. That's barely enough for the eye to integrate still frames marching along and looking smooth. And so they would show each frame twice or three times, and that would help reduce that effect. But at 48 frames per second, they don't even really need to do that. It just looks so smooth. Some people complain that it, in fact, looks kind of plasticky, kind of video.
The soap opera effect,
right?
The
soap opera effect, which we've used, that's a term we've used to apply to LCD TVs, which do what's called frame interpolation. And this is not quite that, because they are real frames in between. They're not made-up frames. And yet, some people complain that it still looks like video or soap opera. I myself am much more interested in that sharper image than I am in the fact that it might look a little more video. 30. So that's one thing. And we're going to talk more about The Hobbit, because there's a lot to talk about there in high frame rate. Also, it's using Dolby Atmos, which is a new theatrical sound system with speakers all around you and above you, And that's going to be available in some theaters when we play The Hobbit as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I know people who've already bought tickets. Anyway, we're going to come back after this and start answering questions from you, the listening audience. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear. All right, Scott, you're on.
Welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And the music you're hearing right now is from the movie White Squall, written by my friend Jeff Rona. And at the very beginning there, before I came on, you heard a seashell trumpet calling out to the sea. This particular cue is called The Journey Begins, and so it does for us here on the radio. That seashell trumpet, by the way, played by me. So all day today, I'm going to be playing bumper music that I've been involved in one way or another, typically playing and recording. But in any event, that one is from the movie White Squall, starring Jeff Bridges. A very nice movie, actually, about a true story about a guy who runs a school for wayward boys on a boat and teaches them how to be better people by crewing a sailing ship together. Anyway, so look forward to a bunch of different kinds of music that I've been involved in all day today. For now, we're going to go right to a phone call, and that is line 5. Scott in Springfield, Pennsylvania. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Scott. I was wondering your opinions on refoaming or replacing speakers.
Okay.
I have a EPI TE120s that got in the mid-'80s, and they need some help.
Well, what's the symptom? Are they kind of rattling, or the sound has changed in some major way?
Well, they sound bad. If you pull the grills off, you can see the foam is just all gone.
Yeah, this is not uncommon. Speakers, this is the part of the speaker called the surround, which is a piece of foam or rubber or something like that, which allows the diaphragm of the speaker to move back and forth, which is what it needs to do in order to reproduce sound. And that material degrades over time, depending on where you are geographically. If you're near the ocean, it might happen faster. If you're in a super dry environment, that might happen as well. But refoaming, man, that is not an easy thing. Ross, have you ever done that?
I haven't done it myself. I've talked to people who've done it, and there are companies out there on the internet that will either both sell kits, depending on your actual speakers, that you can do the installation yourself, or there's companies that actually do the putting in the new surrounds too. You know, the older speakers, they really were foam, and those tended to degrade pretty rapidly. And newer speakers use more of a polysynthetic type of material, which is more robust. But you can get pricing on it. Depending on the pricing, sometimes your better option is that's just a message that it's time to get new speakers.
I'm really having a lot of trouble hearing you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The answer is there are companies that do it, and you can probably get a kit to do it. But it might not be cost-effective. I suppose it depends in part on how handy you are, although I myself would not want to take apart a pair of speakers. Ross, you agree with me?
No, that's not the type of thing that you want to kind of putter around and do amateur hour, because all you need to do is make one mistake, and at that point you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I wasn't looking to do it myself. I wanted to send it out if you think it's a good idea.
I personally wouldn't. EPI, are they even around anymore? Do you know? Do you guys know?
They're out of business.
They're out of business. Okay. So in that case, since they're out of business, I would say it's probably better to just bite the bullet and buy some new speakers. There are plenty of great speakers around. So I would say that's our best answer to that question. Got it? I guess
you keep breaking up, but I'm gathering you're saying you replace them.
Yeah, I would replace those speakers. Beatmaster in the chat room is saying, with good speakers, it's worth the effort and less expensive than you might think. So there may be other people who have different opinions than Ross and me here. So you might look in your area, I would say, might be another possibility, is to see if there's somebody there who is expert at refoaming the speaker. But I don't know. And you know, there's another point here, which is that the older speakers very often have a particular sound that people really like, and there might not be anything that matches that these days.
Yeah, I mean, speakers is really the most subjective element of a system in terms of people buy something that they like. And if they've got something they've listened to for a very long time and they're familiar with it, it can be a little bit of a shock to the system to have to go replace it. But again, it's just a matter of cost effectiveness, and really, are you going to be able to find the materials, especially if it's a brand that's no longer doing business, and if there isn't a kind of robust community out there of people who are making replacement parts for it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say look into it, see if there's somebody in your area who can do it, and then make your decision from there. I myself wouldn't do it. I'd buy a new pair of speakers.
Nick in Fresno.
Okay, we got Nick in Fresno coming up here. I'm Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for taking my call. You're a little broken on my end as well, but I had a question. I'm looking to buy a soundbar. I have a Panasonic Plasma 46-inch, looking to get some better sound with a soundbar.
Mm-hmm. Very good way to get better sound for not that much money necessarily. You can spend a lot of money, as you can with anything, but certainly a soundbar makes a big improvement in the sound over the TV's own speakers themselves. What's your budget? Hello? Nick, are you with me? I'm sorry. I broke up on you there. I'm so sorry. I'm not quite sure what we're having a few technical difficulties here. What is your budget?
My price range is about $300.
Okay. $300. I would say my best recommendation for that would be either the Yamaha YAS 101, which is about $100 or $150 or so. Or the Vizio VHT 215, and they've just come out with a couple of new models as well that I haven't had a chance to hear. But the Vizio has a subwoofer that comes with it, which actually I would probably recommend more than the Yamaha, because the Yamaha doesn't have a subwoofer, so it doesn't really go that low in terms of frequencies. Ross, have you?
I'm missing a bunch of what you've been saying, but I got the Yamaha IAS 101 and the Vizio. I didn't get a model number for that.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. The Yamaha YAS 101 or the Vizio VHT 215. The Vizio has a subwoofer, and so I would probably recommend that over the Yamaha for getting the low sounds.
All right. Great. Well, thank you for your help.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for calling. Now, do you have any experience with the sound bars?
Yeah, I do. They're kind of like the a stepchild between using regular TV speakers and having a full-on surround system.
It is kind of a compromise, but something better than your TV speakers.
That's absolute. Well, anything pretty much is going to be better than your TV speakers.
So with that, we're going to take a quick break and be back right after this. I'm Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And the music you're hearing now is called The Happy Soul, which is what I am right now, sitting here in this seat talking to you. It's being performed by the Dutch Tuba Quartet, and the arrangement of this klezmer song was done by my father, Robert Wilkinson. So I'm very happy to bring that to you. I myself am a tuba player, and I will tell you about that as we go. We're getting into the season of Tuba Christmas, which I will tell you about at some later time. I'm here with Ross Jones of Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity at hometheaterhifi.com. I'm also sitting here with the founders of that fine website, which is one of the oldest home theater websites on the web, John and Susan Jones. who I'm very happy to be working with now. Johnson. Oh, it's Ross Jones. You know what? Sometimes things get in my brain and they rattle around a little too much. It's called a senior moment. Yes, thank you. John Johnson and Susan Johnson, the founders of Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity, at hometheaterhifi.com, where I'm very happy to be contributing answers to reader and listener questions and some relatively in-depth technical articles. You should go up there and check out the article that just got posted, which I wrote about how LCD TVs work, which is quite interesting and not obvious. So I do recommend that you check that out. Meanwhile, we're going to go and answer another call. Chad in San Diego. You're on with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome to the show. Hello, Chad. You know what? We're having trouble with our call screening software, and I was under the impression that Kyle Benham, our fabulous engineer, who's, I'm sure, working assiduously to solve the problems that we've been having, the technical issues that we've been having today, and that's only one of them. And so hopefully we will get Chad on the line here pretty soon.
He should be there.
Chad, are you there? I don't hear Chad. I don't know about you, but...
Dennis, we're going to go to Dennis.
Okay, we're going to go to Dennis in Santa Monica. Hey, Dennis, welcome to the show. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek.
Hey, Scott and Ross.
Yes, both of us are here, and you're here too. All three of us. Welcome.
I'm here with you. I really like being on hold because it helps me take notes.
Very good. Excellent. Glad to hear it. How can we help you today?
Anyway, I'm an audiophile, and I have an audiophile stumbler for you today. This is a question that's been plaguing me for a little while. It's about XLR cables. Now, if I contact regular home audio vendors, home audio and home theater vendors, I notice I can spend boatloads of money for XLR cables if I want to, and they're supposed to upgrade the quality of the system. Now, in my experience with RCA cables, I know that's true, that I can spend more for my cables, and I can get better performance out of my system. But what's interesting to me is when I contact pro audio vendors, people in the pro audio realm, they tell me that it doesn't matter what XLR cables you buy, you just get high quality ones with good terminations and good shielding, and it doesn't make a big difference. You can spend, let's say, $50 for a 20 or 30 foot cable, and you're just fine. So, but in home audio, you can spend $500 or $1,000 on really good XLR cables,
or a lot more even.
So what's your opinion there? Do you guys have an opinion? I get different opinions whether it's pro audio or home audio.
Well, there are as many opinions about this as there are people interested in the subject. So I'm sure we will have plenty to say about it. Ross, what is your response to that?
Well, we could take up the rest of the show talking about it.
We could.
But the short answer is XLR cables really it's a different system of connecting audio components, and it's, without getting too much into the technical details, it's designed to avoid noise in long cable runs, basically. So if you're in the home theater realm, and if you're not dealing with long cable runs, if you're running from a preamp to an amplifier and you're running a foot of cable, there's a lot of people you can talk to who will tell you there's not it's debatable whether you're really getting much of a benefit by going with XLR or balanced interconnects rather than just a single-ended RCA cable. But assuming that you are going with XLR cables, the basic science involved in it is such that they have a noise-canceling quality. And assuming that the cable is of sufficient quality and you don't have loose connections or anything like that, my opinion is you don't really need to spend extra on XLR cables. You know, Scott and I are both musicians, so we tend to use primarily XLR cables in our professional work. And I can tell you, I don't spend a lot of money on them. In the places I go, including studios, I don't see people spending a lot of money on them either. I don't know, Scott, what's your feeling?
I totally agree with you. That's exactly right. XLR cables are meant to reject noise that is induced into the cable by electromagnetic interference, radiation that is in the environment. But it's really not important for short cable runs. It's much more important for very long cable runs. So that's one thing. The shielding, XLR, both XLR and unbalanced, single-ended is sometimes what the RCA connector type cables are called, are shielded as well. They just don't have as good a shield against this interference that can be induced into the cable. But again, if you have your preamp and your power amp in the same rack and you're running a 1 or 2 foot cable, it's really not going to make much difference. And as far as super expensive cables, I am not myself an advocate of spending tons and tons of money on super expensive cables. As long as they have good quality copper and the good quality connectors and terminators, and the connectors are well soldered to the conductors in the cable, you're basically going to be fine. I mean, I know of speaker cables, for example, that cost $20,000 for a meter of cable. And I just think that that's a little excessive. I don't find a need to do that or not. But John Johnson is kibitzing here from the sidelines. What did he have to say here?
The Peanut Gallery said that if you're using a preamp and a amplifier that are internally balanced, in other words, their actual circuits are balanced circuit, then you'd want to use balanced interconnects with that as well.
I would agree with that. That's a very good point. The problem with that only is that you don't necessarily know when you buy a product whether or not it's balanced, the circuitry is balanced internally or not. One can hope so. The manufacturer might tell you so, but actually determining whether or not that's true might be a little bit of a problem. But I agree. If you do have products that have internally balanced circuitry, then yes, using balanced connectors would be definitely a better way to go.
30.
Okay, so did that answer your question, Dennis?
Yeah, pretty much. I was also thinking of creating a DJ system and using my experience in home audio. And, of course, the home audio experience says if I pay more for cables, like RCA cables, I get a better system. And, of course, I could spend more for XLR cables. The trouble is, what's the point of diminishing returns? And I guess from your comments, by the way, you guys were breaking up a lot during the last part of what you're saying. So
I'm so sorry we have to take a break here. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
The Tech Guy Show brought to you today by my phone system. You know, you would think that'd be kind of a boring thing to talk about, but it's not. I talk about Ring Central all the time. Can you see my phone? This is my now. This is a standard business style phone, multi-line Polycom. It's actually a great phone. Has all sorts of nice features like Do Not Disturb and directories, applications, conferencing, all the features, right? But you know what? It's not plugged into a PBX, neither in the basement nor at the central office. In fact, it's not even using the phone company at all. It's using Ring Central, a cloud-based phone service, the #1 cloud-based phone system. It's fantastic. I'll freely admit, I had no idea what we were going to do when we built the studio and I started a business. I'm not a businessman. I've never done a business before. And fortunately, I have good people. I'm surrounded by good people who have done this kind of thing before. I asked Russell Tammany. Maybe I didn't even ask him. I think he suggested it. What are we going to do about phones? He said, well, I've installed Ring Central on a number of clients. They seem very happy with it. I said, all right, what is it? He said, well, the idea is instead of a PBX, it's an internet-based phone system, cloud-based phone system. There's no extra hardware. It's very easy to set up. It's very affordable, and it gives you a lot more functionality than a traditional phone service. Costs $20, around $20 per user per month. It's very easy to turn on more users. There's no setup. You just give them a phone, they plug it in, and they're done. It does some really nice things. For instance, I have a Ring Central app on my on all my devices. I'll pick one. I have all my devices with me today. I can make a phone call from my Android phone, my iPhone, my BlackBerry, as if I'm at work. So the work number will show up as the caller ID. Work pays for the call. Voicemail messages come to my email, as do faxes. You can send a fax to our business number, and it automatically says, oh, yeah, it's a fax, and takes care of that. So we don't have a fax machine. We don't need one. We've got Ring Central. What else can I tell you about? I love the idea that I can have any of my phones ring. It's kind of like, we have an 800 number as well as a regular 707 local area code. But if you call, for instance, the 800 number, you get a phone tree, very easy to set up. You set that up online. I recorded all the voices and stuff. So if you call our 800 number at TWiT, you'll hear me saying, to talk to Leo, press 6. To talk to Lisa, press 1, that kind of thing. You do that all online. It's really simple. The management console's very straightforward. I want you to try this free for 30 days. RingCentral.com. They have a special offer for our listeners. When you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. That is a really good deal. 800-543-9980, free for the first 30 days. 800-543-9980, or go to ringcentral.com. I'm going to log in. I wonder, I haven't ever done this before. If I log in, does it show you? How can I do this without compromising too much? I should gray out stuff. See, it's showing you people's phone numbers and stuff. I'll zoom in a little bit. Yeah, you can see. Yeah. So this is the dashboard. You can see, I see people who've called. All their messages are here. You see it has our logo on it. I have lots of, quick links, answering rules, greetings, notifications. Let me take you to greetings. I think I can play one back for you. Yeah, so here's the default voicemail greeting. My name used in greetings. What does this sound like? I don't even know. Should play it back. But this is all online, which is so cool. Really love this. Oh, I think it downloaded it. This is during business hours. This is just my answering rules. There's a more elaborate one so each user controls all of this, right? And there's a more elaborate, of course, interface for the central interface, which I don't think I better show you because it has all the phone numbers in here. Can I show this? I guess I can show some of this. Music on hold, blocked or allowed numbers, ring out options, this is very sophisticated stuff. And once you set it up, it's really great. iLover's asking in the chat room, is it for personal? No, it's really for businesses. It's really for small business, or even, actually, they have quite a few big businesses as well. RingCentral.com. Use a promo code TWiT for 30 days free. I do wish I had this for my personal phone. Well, I guess I do. If your business does it, you do have it for your personal phone. RingCentral.com. I love it.
All right, you're on.
It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And we're hearing the Dutch Tuba Quartet play The Happy Soul once again, which is fine, because I am a happy soul. The arrangement written by my father, Robert Wilkinson. Sitting in with me today is Ross Jones from Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity at hometheaterhifi.com. And in this segment, I have a special treat for you all. An Academy Award-winning re-recording mixer who has worked at Skywalker Sound on a bunch of movies. He won his Academy Award for Inception, a fabulous movie, I thought. And also he was nominated for The Dark Knight and The Incredibles. So quite the career. Gary Rizzo, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So clear up something for me, if you would. What does a re-recording mixer do?
Okay, a re-recording mixer works in an environment that really is a movie theater, except it doesn't have the seats in it. Instead of having seats, it's got a big audio control console in the middle of it, and then we have cushy sofas for our clients, our directors, our producers, our picture editors. And literally what we're doing is that we're working scene by scene, shot by shot, with the director of the movie or whoever is creatively in charge of the movie to make the movie sound exactly as they emotionally want it to work for the audience when they go see it in a movie theater. So it's broken down into departments: dialogue, sound effects, Foley, music, all the major primary primary categories of sound, and we combine all those elements so that they work together to evoke just the right emotion at any given time in the movie.
So what are you re-recording? All these elements, the dialogue, the music, the sound effects are already all recorded. Are you then, is your job to combine them and mix them in a certain way, or do you need to re-record something?
Well, it's kind of an old-fashioned term, but essentially we are doing real re-recording, meaning all those recordings come to us prepared, meaning in their sync and in their select choice by whether it's the editorial departments that are working with the picture editor or with the producer. They're all pre-selected, but our job is to put them all together and to make a new recording, hence the term re-recording, which is a composite of all those elements with just the right balance, with just the right panning, with just the right amount of reverberant qualities, with deciding each and every sound, how loud or soft it is compared to the other ones, to hit just the right dynamic so that the movie works the way we want it.
Now, you mentioned dynamics, and I have to ask you this question, too.
Try me.
When I go to the movies, I often take a sound meter with me, and I measure the sound levels at the meter. I know, super geeky, but what the heck? I'm a home theater geek.
That's all right.
And I find, because a lot of people complain about how loud movies are when they go to the movies. And I myself, at the tender age I am, tend to bring earplugs for most movies, certainly big action movies and so on. What is your sense of the volume that modern movies generate in the theater?
Well, we do have the gift of dynamic range, meaning the technology is there for us to utilize, and it's not entirely up to the re-recording mixers. We are working as a team, like I said, with our directors and with our producers and so forth, and we're all working together to figure out what the right dynamic actually is. So we are in a calibrated environment. The environment is supposed to be set so that there's a standard when you inject pink noise into each individual channel, what the loudness actually is for each channel. So we are working to a spec, and we can only hope, to some degree we cross our fingers, that the commercial theaters are meeting that spec. It's not always the case that they do. Dolby, or the people that are installing this gear, try to make it as simple as possible for the theaters to get it right. So they basically have a big knob, and hopefully we hope that they have the fader, that knob, on 7, and that beyond that fader the room is calibrated properly to be 85 dB SPL with pink noise out of each channel, primarily the LCR, and then the surround should be at 82 and the subwoofer should be at 91. And if all the calibration is done right, you should be hearing the movie as the director really wants you to hear it. And sometimes that means it gets loud, but hopefully if you've done the soundtrack properly, you have a nice dynamic range that takes you emotionally to the places that are appropriate with the story and with the characters through the movie.
Certainly the dynamic range is important, because with pop music on the radio, the dynamic range, that is the difference between the softest thing and the loudest thing, is very compressed. It's very narrow. Whereas at the movies, what you're saying is that it's much wider, and you can, in fact, evoke different emotions by exploiting that wide dynamic range from very soft to very loud.
Absolutely. We have the ability to get incredibly quiet down to a thread if we really, really wanted to. And then very quickly, we can utilize the dynamic range to get very loud. And we can, that's the shock factor in scary movies, that you can really do that. The faster you do it, the more surprising it is to the audience. The more they jump, the more they're scared. So we have that technology. And sometimes we may find ourselves where we're too loud for too long, and that's when you start to fall into the oppressive range, where you're starting to push your audience back more than you'd like to. And sometimes we find that we're doing that as we're working. We realize, okay, we really need to pull this music back. It's too loud for too long, or the sound effect is just simply too big. I personally am not a big fan of being loud for long, because it doesn't mean anything. I like using loud when it's appropriate. And if you don't use loud all the time, then loud actually takes on a special quality, it takes on more of the surprise, and you don't have to get as loud as you would think because not everything before it is that loud. So it really depends upon what you're trying to accomplish and what you've done previous that will determine really how loud you need to be.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned that I measure levels in the theater when I go to the movies, and I typically find that the average level is right in the 83, 84, 85 dB range, which is what Cal OSHA specifies as a workplace limit. And the movies theaters that I've been to seem to really sort of push it up to that level, which of course means, though, that the peaks get higher than that. Are you saying that 85 dB in the front 3 channels is what you're aiming for the peaks?
Well, no, that's we use that with pink noise as just a
as an average.
It's just as an average, just to make sure that there are proper levels. Then, we have headroom spec that goes beyond that measurement.
Gotcha.
We hope to have 20 decibels of headroom above that, but your peak levels, if you're measuring them on an SPL meter, like a little Radio Shack SPO or something, I mean, we can hit. We can get pretty loud, we can hit 110, we can hit 115. Hopefully we don't hit those for very long, but it is possible to hit those spikes. But you got to remember, when we're working, we are not even thinking about the numbers. We're not thinking about the technicality behind it at all. When I'm sitting next to a director that's trying to accomplish something emotionally, it's all about how does what I just heard make me feel? Is it making me feel the right emotion for the scene? That's the director's job, not just with sound, but with all the crafts, with costumes, with everything.
I think what we're hearing now, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what we're hearing now is a clip from one of the cues from Inception, which is the movie you won your Academy Award for.
You got it.
And I have to say that the music of that movie was very, very effective. That really brings it back. I remember. Did you see that, Ross?
It was a very good film, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. Very thought-provoking. What's reality? Where are we in the dreamscape? The Simpsons did a great parody of it as well.
I missed that.
45 seconds.
So there you go. That's fantastic. Now, now that you've got the movie soundtrack, now you're going to go to the home release. What do you have to do that's different? What do you have to do to adapt it for the home release?
Well, what we're doing, to explain that, I'll give you just a little bit of background on how we do what we do. We mix to what we call, when we're mixing the theatrical version, we mix final mix stems, theatrical stems. So we have the dialogue all together in either a 5.1 or a 7.1, and now moving forward into Atmos, like a 5.1 version of just the dialogue, and then we have just the music, and then just the sound effects, and then just the Foley. But they're all designed to play together. So we can make one composite print master for the theater.
Oh, doggone it. That music means that we're out of time. I'm so disappointed. Thank you so much, Gary Rizzo, re-recording mixer at Skywalker Sound. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Right back after this.
Clear. All right, Scott, you're on in 3, 2, 1.
Well, hey, welcome. Come on in. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who's off on a fabulous Australian cruise, snorkeling around the Great Barrier Reef, watching the total solar eclipse. What fun. But I'm having nearly as much fun sitting here in his place talking with all of you about my favorite subject, home theater. I'm joined today by Ross Jones, the senior editor at Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity at hometheaterhifi.com, where I'm now contributing myself. Ross, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, last hour, we were having a great conversation with Gary Rizzo. He's an Academy Award-winning re-recording mixer at Skywalker Sound. He won his Academy Award for Inception, was also nominated for The Dark Knight And as soon as I get my computer back up here, I can tell you. The Incredibles, one of my favorite movies, actually. And Gary has agreed to stick around and finish our conversation, which I really appreciate because we got cut off by the evil clock last time. Gary, thanks so much for sticking around.
Happy to be here.
Great. Ross, I know you had a question for Gary. Why don't you pipe right in here?
Yeah, I was asking just in terms of the number of discrete different sounds, tracks, and channels that you're trying to keep all those plates spinning in the air when you're doing the re-recording mix.
It's true. There are, depending upon the project and the magnitude of the project, there are hundreds and hundreds of tracks running at any given time. On some of our largest mixes, we're pushing 1,000 tracks of audio and paths of audio at any given time. But we're always mixing things down, hence the term re-recording. So we're mixing things down to their format, whether we're mixing in 5.1 or 7.1, and as we move forward into Dolby Atmos and Barco and all those new theatrical formats.
Now, have you mixed in Atmos and in Barco Oro, I believe it's called?
I haven't done a film yet. There is one that is on the books that's coming next year that we will be mixing natively in Dolby Atmos. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say which one it is, but it's coming. But I've been tinkering in more the Atmos format so far, but Barco is on its way. We do work for DreamWorks, and DreamWorks is they're committed to Barco, so we're doing lots of work with them, and all these exciting new formats to mix in. I'm happy to do whatever format anybody wants me to try. It's all a sonic playground for me.
Exactly right. Now I want to tell anybody who might not know what Atmos and Dolby Oro are. Barco Oro. Barco. Yes, let me get that right. They are. We've had 5.1 for a while, which is 3 channels in the front, left, center, and right, and 2 surround channels in back. More recently, we've added 2 more surround channels in the back for 7.1, the 0.1 being the subwoofer. And now comes Dolby Atmos, which adds a bunch of discrete channels around the theater, plus channels overhead. So they actually have to mount speakers over your head, and it gives you a very integrated 3-dimensional sound field, which I'm sure, Gary, you must have a lot of fun playing with.
Oh, sure. It is a lot of fun. Within the 5.1 and 7.1 formats, in terms of the surround field, we've always been committed to what we call an array. In 5.1, the entire side and back wall, the back corner of the wall, was one channel of audio coming from your left side and then another channel coming from the right side. In 7.1, we broke that up into 4 quadrants of 4 arrays. But now in Atmos, you have the arrays, so multiple speakers playing the same kind of sound, but you can also what we call objectize a sound, where you can take one sound and literally swing it through the theater, cabinet by cabinet by cabinet, depending upon how large or small your theater is. So that's actually a pretty exciting new development for Atmos that we're excited to utilize in its native format.
Now, there aren't that many theaters equipped with Atmos yet. It takes some expense and time to actually put in a bunch of more speakers, probably some sound processors, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Do you expect that to grow in the future? I sure hope it does.
Yeah, I think so. I think that people will jump on board. I think that as home theater continues to develop, I think that the commercial market is doing everything and anything that they can to keep audiences going to the box office to buy tickets. This is one of those things. They want ticket buyers to experience something that they can't experience at home. And I got to say, for Dolby Atmos at least, the bigger the room is, I think the better the format works, because you have more speaker cabinets that to fill a larger room. The more you can take an objectized sound, it has more resolution to swing around the room. The larger the room is, I think the better the format actually works.
Yeah, I've been wondering whether or not, and I've been asked a lot, whether or not Dolby Atmos would end up being a home theater format. And I can't really see that, A, because, as you say, the room needs to be kind of big in order to work, and B, perhaps even more important, there's the spousal acceptance factor.
That is true, but the nice thing that Dolby's done is that they've come up with this Atmos format that will work whether it's a small room or a large room. They're saying that the intelligence that's behind the system will actually maximize whatever room you're playing it at. So that is good. And I can imagine that they would try to come up with a home consumer format of it or version of it. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard it. I don't know what they're up to. But I can imagine that at some point it will creep its way down and we'll come up with something cool, something new for the home format. I'm a big home theater buff myself, so I'm sure I'll be one of the first people to tinker with it when it's available.
One of those early adopters, are you?
Hey, sorry.
Well, good. What do you got in your home theater? You have a projector or a flat panel?
So I have a multi-purpose room, and the number one spouse acceptance rule was you can't have any big black boxes that are going to hurt small children as they run through the room. So,
very important.
Yeah, some Axiom on-wall speakers, and I got some in-wall subs from Velodyne, and I have a drop projection screen from Seymour Screens, and I have an Epson projector. It's not a huge room. It's about 20 feet by 15 feet. And it's nice enough that I feel, a theatrical feel to it. It doesn't feel like I'm watching it on TV, which is really what I want. As a professional, I kind of want to feel like I'm at the movies when I can't always get out to the movies since I have small children, which I love.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Absolutely. Well, Gary, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Especially appreciate you hanging over the break and allowing us to finish the conversation.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. That's Gary Rizzo. He is an Academy Award-winning re-recording mixer, giving us a little bit of insight into the backstage process of creating those soundtracks that we all enjoy so much at the movies, and talking about dynamic range and emotional impact. I mean, obviously, Ross, that's the key here. Is movies need to have an emotional impact in order to be enjoyable and successful.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize how much of that really comes from the audio side of things, because the emotional impact when you watch something, let's say with it muted, is many times completely different. It's a different impact than when you've got this enveloping sound and you've got the strings and you've got the foreboding low end coming from the tuba or the bass or whatever.
Right.
That kind of, it signifies some type of emotional content.
1 minute.
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, when I'm reviewing TVs, I very often do it without the sound, because when I have the sound on, I get involved in the story and I forget to look at, the colors or the black levels or the contrast or anything. I forget to be critical and I get swept away in the movie. So more often than not, when I'm reviewing a TV or a projector, I'll actually turn the sound off for that very reason. Now, you don't review TVs, right?
No, I did. It's interesting talking to Gary. I did a series of projector reviews for the non-dedicated room. For people like Gary and others who have, small children. It's a family space, and they've got to be able to put something in there that doesn't dominate the room. So I did do some of those reviews, and it's very interesting because, price per square inch, of course, a front projector is the way to go in terms of getting the largest screen you can.
Exactly right. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back after this.
All right, let's do David in Laguna Beach, line 5. I'll do your phones again this segment. That's
Thanks.
how we'll do it. And if you can give me a Leo break, that would be awesome here. Thanks. All right, 3, 2, 1, you're on.
Huzzah! Welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And the music we're hearing now is one of the fanfares I used to play at the Renaissance Fair. You can imagine me in tights and all sorts of things. Ross is shaking his head.
Don't go there. No, I won't sleep tonight.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, for 20 years, I played at the Renaissance Fair, and that was the fanfare when the Queen appeared in the Shire. Long live the Queen. God save the Queen. But we are not in the Shire. We are in the tech universe, the tech Shire, if you will. And we are talking home theater this entire day. And I'm going to go to Kyle. Remind me who's up next.
Let's do David.
So
5.
David, here we come, line 5. Welcome to the show. You're on with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, and Ross Jones. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Scott and Ross. Just a quick question. Scott, I pulled out a old analog television set, putting in a new digital one. The cable company says, come down and buy our DVR or cable box. Are there any alternatives that I have besides paying $15 a month to the cable guys?
You know, we were just talking about this at dinner yesterday. There are a number of alternatives. One is an over-the-air antenna. Where do you live?
Southern California, Laguna Beach area.
Oh, okay. So if you put an antenna on your roof, you can get all of the digital stations in Laguna Beach, probably from San Diego as well as from L.A., and there are a bunch in both of those markets, and they will actually look better typically than cable. Now, if you want to stick with cable, which you need if you're going to get premium content like HBO and the Discovery Channel, that may not be premium content, but it's not over-the-air broadcast, then you do need some sort of receiver. Now, if you go with HBO, some premium content, that is going to be encrypted. The cable company is going to scramble that so that you need one of their boxes to unscramble it. And there are a couple of ways to do that. You can get the cable box, of course, the DVR. You can get a TiVo DVR, which will record. It's a DVR, so it records content. It'll record off the air, and it'll also record from the cable, even encrypted content, if you get from the cable company what's called a cable card. So it looks like a credit card, sort of, a fat credit card. Sticks into a slot in the back of the TiVo, and it allows you to record and watch the encrypted content from HBO and Showtime and those kinds of channels. That, though, will cost you, I don't remember what they're charging now, $8 or $10 a month, something like that, for their electronic program guide service. But I sure prefer it. TiVo has the best user interface, in my opinion, than any of the cable boxes that are out there. So that is certainly one option you can do. You can dump your cable altogether and go online and get content from various online streaming sources, which if your TV is more than a year or two old, it undoubtedly has that capability. Or if you want to get a Blu-ray player or something, it'll have that capability as well. Linux Lurker in the chat room is saying Laguna is totally shielded from over-the-air on Mount Wilson, so you probably won't get the L.A. stations, but you'll probably get the San Diego stations. Ross, you had something to say.
Yeah, if you're thinking of going on over the air, there's a couple of websites. I'm not 100% sure of the URL. I think one of them is called antennaweb.org.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
And you can feed in your address, and it's actually pretty accurate. It'll give you an idea of what type of signals you'll pick up over the air, depending what type of a amplifier and antenna that you use. But yeah, I'm familiar with that part of Southern California, and you're kind of landlocked out at the coast at Laguna, so you may have some problems.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll give that a quick try. May I ask one more quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
Last week, Leo was 2 thumbs up on the Panasonic Viera, and ended up getting one.
Yep.
My TV broke. And new TV for me, so, you can get on the web and go to YouTube and Facebook and whatever. Doesn't seem to be a web browser per se, though. I mean, they seem to have loaded 8 or 10 applications, and that's it. Is there?
That's correct. No,
okay.
That's exactly right. Some TVs are now starting to get rudimentary web browsers. I mean, we're talking 10, 12, 15 years ago in terms of their capabilities. And that's only appearing now. But for the most part, really, you only get the sources that the manufacturers, say Panasonic or Samsung, have made agreements with to provide apps on their TV for. Now, almost all of them have Netflix, and almost all of them have Pandora Internet Radio, and almost all of them have YouTube. But other than that, you might get Hulu Plus, you might get Amazon On Demand, depends on whether or not the manufacturer has made an agreement with that particular provider. And so that is one of the limitations of that particular approach. Now, some people in the chat room are saying, get a Roku box, which is $100 or less, and you get a very wide range of online internet sources of content, including TWiT, This Week in Tech, Leo Laporte's internet TV station, which we certainly recommend that you check out.
Right.
All righty?
Very good, Scott. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for calling. I believe we have a message in a bottle from Leo. He must have thrown it off the boat, and it has just arrived. Let's hear what he has to say.
Not enough time.
Oh,
not enough time. Next break.
Sorry, there's not enough time. We're going to have to pull that bottle out of the sea after the next break. Okay, how much time do we have? Do we have time for another call?
You got just over a minute.
Just over a minute.
Cornelius.
Let's go for Cornelius in San Diego. You're on with Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Scott.
How can I help you?
I'm in the process of upgrading my home theater, and I just purchased the Marantz Pre-Pro, the AV7701.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Wonderful machine.
And I'm looking at upgrading the Blu-ray player. I currently have an old 4-year-old Panasonic Blu-ray player. I'm looking at the Oppo Blu-ray player that costs about $500.
Yep.
Is my picture quality going to go from VG to excellent, or am I just kind of stepping sideways?
That's a pretty good question, actually. In terms of picture quality, I don't think you're going to have that much of an improvement. Panasonic Blu-ray players are in the $100 to $200 range, and Black Friday's coming up. We're going to talk about that later. You're going to be able to get them for under $100. However, having said that, I will also say that I love the Oppo Blu-ray players. They are the best Blu-ray players you can get, not only for their quality, their audio and video quality, which is very good, but perhaps more important for their customer service. We'll talk about that a little bit when we come back from the break. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back after this.
I got trouble in mind.
Oh, baby, have I got trouble in mind. Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That music that you're listening to is my wife, Joanna Kasdan, from her 6th self-produced album, on which I am playing the trombone. And this song, the whole album is topical music, and it's called Living Through History. And this particular song is about the Rodney King riots. And we all had trouble in mind at that point. I'm playing also the saxophones in the background there. So we are having some trouble in mind today with some technical issues, which are getting worked out very adequately and more than adequately by our fabulous engineer, Kyle Benham, who is also running the music. And we are taking calls and talking about home theater, having just a marvelous time here today. Things are getting worked out very well. Those of you who are calling in to talk with us, we're very happy about that. It's 8888-ASK-LEO is the phone number. That's 888-827-5536. The lovely Gina Yates will be answering your call, and hopefully I will get to the point where I can get this all of this stuff working. Now, we were talking with Cornelius in San Diego about Blu-ray players, and I just wanted to finish off that call. Cornelius, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here, Scott.
Cool. Now, Ross Jones, my compatriot for today, has had something to say about the Oppo Blu-ray player. Ross, what did you want to say?
Yeah, Cornelius, I don't know how much regular DVDs you still watch on your Blu-ray player, but and I'm not familiar with your Panasonic, but Oppo in particular are known for having superb upconverting. So if you're watching DVDs, you may notice a significant improvement in the video quality by going from a 4-year-old Blu-ray player to the new Oppo player, because the Oppos they're superb at upconverting 480p type sources. So you may actually get a benefit from that.
Okay. Well, one more thing, Scott. Say if I were to upgrade and get one of the new Panasonic 2012 plasmas, like the VT or GT series, that would be a bigger upgrade than getting the Oppo Blu-ray player, you think?
In terms of high-def content, yes, absolutely. No question about it. So if you're playing mostly Blu-rays, then yeah, getting the TV is going to be the much bigger upgrade.
Okay.
And both those products, by the way, are fantastic. The VT50 and the GT50. Leo just got a GT50. In fact, I'm going over to his house tonight to calibrate it. So we'll see how well it does, but I expect it to do very well.
All right, definitely. Thank you very much for your help.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for calling.
Okay.
All right, you know what? I want to make sure we get Leo's message in a bottle to us. He threw it over the side of the cruise ship he's on. It has sailed 4,000 miles to reach us here in California, and I know he's got an important message for us. Let's hear what it is.
You know it. I know it. Practically everybody does. You've got to back up your computer files. But most people...
This is exactly 1 minute.
That's why you need Carbonite. Online backup. Carbonite automatically, continually backs up your files for you. You set it up once. It's really easy, and you'll never have to remember to back up again. Away from your computer? Need access to a file? That's easy. You can access your backup files on any computer or your smartphone or iPad with a free Carbonite app. I use Carbonite because Carbonite is the better backup plan. Unlimited backup space for your PC or Mac, just $59 a year. And if you run a small business, Carbonite also has plans that will back up all your computers, servers, and external hard drives for a low, flat annual fee. Start your free trial today.
15 seconds. When you come back, you're going to have 3 minutes.
Got it.
You'll get 2 free bonus months if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com.
4 minutes, actually. Sorry.
Use my name, Leo, to get 2 bonus
Here we go.
months
You're on.
purchase.
Thanks so much, Leo. I hope you're having a grand old time down in Australia. I know you'll be back next week. I'll be on at my regular time, Saturday at 11:33 a.m. Pacific time, for my 15 minutes of fame. But now I've got a whole 3 hours, and I get to share it with you. Next up is Nathan in Temecula, California. Nathan, you're on with Scott Wilkinson and Ross Jones. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help you?
I had a question about using my TV basically as a monitor for my computer. I'd like to watch, I've cut cable, I don't want to deal with it anymore, and I'd like to watch online content, but I've looked into like the Roku box and a couple similar to that, and it seems like you can get Netflix and Hulu through them, but it's kind of limiting to those types of sites. And I'd like to be able to also use it just to surf the web, you know what I mean, pull up YouTube or just regular web use. So I'm wondering if is there another box or something like a Roku that might be more have more functions, or is there a good USB device that I can use through my Blu-ray player, which is it's wireless capable, but you know what I mean, I have to plug something into it. Is there something I should use through that and just go through my laptop, or what would your suggestions be?
Well, it seems to me, I mean, I do know that any device like a Roku or a Blu-ray player or the TV itself, all of these devices now have these apps, which we were talking about a little earlier, that let you access certain content providers. If you want a more general ability to go out on the web and get anything and display it on your TV, you really need to do it with a PC. There's just no way around that. So a laptop or a desktop type PC, ideally it would have an HDMI output. That's the most important thing. That's going to give you the best picture quality. Now, having super good picture quality on a crummy YouTube video might make it look even worse.
Well,
but that's the only way you're going to be able to get the full web browsing experience on your TV.
So the best, in order to get like HD quality, really I need to be plugged into the back of my TV from my computer. There wouldn't be a wireless way to do that, or is there, and you just don't get as good quality?
Well, there often is a wireless way to do it. You can get a wireless dongle, they call it. You plug it into the USB port.
Yeah.
Some TVs already have wireless capabilities built into them. I never recommend it for high-quality streaming of video content. No. It just doesn't work very well, not nearly as well as an actual hardwire connection. And so, in fact, what I would do. I would have your computer connected to the internet with a hardwire Ethernet cable, not Wi-Fi, and then an HDMI cable to the TV, that's going to give you the best quality. Ross, have you had any experience with online like this?
I haven't done the wireless streaming. I mean, I've done a lot of watching of TV and connecting it to the TV. I mean, one of the interesting things that I think isn't commonly known is that the computer monitors, a lot of times the resolution, the native resolution of those computer monitors is actually better than your HD TV in the first place.
True enough, exactly right.
So your limiting factor is really the content that's coming over the internet rather than the screen itself.
Now, a couple people in the chat room are talking about something called PlayOn at playon.tv, playon.tv, which is some sort of app that you can put on your Roku, perhaps, to get ESPN, YouTube, Comedy Central, other content that's usually restricted, Alex C. says. So that might be something to look at. I've never tried that. Have you?
No, never heard of it.
Yeah. So this is the great thing about the chat room, and I hope those of you who are listening will log into the chat room at irc.twit.tv, because there is my brain and Leo's brain. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back after this.
Clear.
Time really does zoom by, doesn't it? You're in the...
Are you cool with the sometimes like I feel like you ended that break really well, like giving you the 1 minute, you knew what was going on.
That's very good.
With a 30-second. Are you cool with like the 1 minute?
Yeah, you don't need to give me a 30-second. 1 minute is fine.
Perfect.
I'm hitting them okay now, right?
Well, there's really only one program.
You're nailing them. I mean, and at least we got the flow somewhat working with the phones. Yeah. I'm watching it, and you know, I'm kind of doing the hang up, but you got it. If you need to hang up on them, just hit it again.
Okay. No, if you can sort of monitor that, I really appreciate it.
Completely. And I'm sorry that we're dealing with these things. You're doing great, though.
Thank you. So are you. I really appreciate
30 days.
Right now, it sounds like the callers aren't complaining about the breakup of the line anymore.
That's true. We can only hope that got fixed. Steve C. in the chat room said he tried PlayOn, but it's a scam. Steve C. Bummer. What was scammy about it?
You need Nod 32 from ESE. You know when you call and ask.
Alex C. has said that he's run PlayOn for several months and use it almost every day. Duckfeet, thank you so much. I will tell Joanna that you all love the song that I played of hers. She does have a lovely voice, and she'll be doing a concert in February, actually, for those of you in L.A. I'll be on that concert as well, as in addition to a few other people, and it'll be at Caltech next February. I will make an announcement of that as we get closer. Hopefully Leo will let me do a little promo.
Or you could sneak one in.
I could sneak one in.
So does your wife actually write those songs as well?
She does. She's a singer-songwriter. And so she writes those songs. Almost everything on that album, and almost everything on her 6 albums, was written by her. All very topical and full of meaning. And so when I told her I was going to play some stuff today, she kind of went, "Oh, I don't know. It'll be out of context. People won't get it."
We have 2 minutes, by the way.
So this is not on the air.
No, I'm not doing what I did first hour.
Thank you.
Repeating the song. Well, I am repeating the song,
but for the chat room.
But you were talking about your wife, so
I appreciate
that. Yeah, sure thing.
So, chat room, here is my wife, Joanna Kasdan, singing one of her songs, "Trouble in Mind," along with me on trombone and saxophone.
So are you doing the orchestral arrangements?
I did most of the arrangements on this album.
Okay. So do you actually prepare a score for the other musicians?
Mm-hmm. Although most of the musicians were me and her. We did have somebody come in and play piano and bass.
Might have been different.
Thank you, Loquacious One.
I don't really know. Where did it come from?
Where did you record?
In our second bedroom.
Really? Okay, so home studio.
Totally home studio.
What do you use for a platform? Pro Tools?
Well, this was
15
years ago.
Okay.
So it was actually analog tape.
Right?
Analog tape. Thank you, James. I think we're about ready to go. The mastering.
10 seconds here. Hey, Scott?
Yeah.
We have another live read. I'd love for you to get it here if you can do it for me, just because you got Peter Ramsey coming up in that next hour.
No problem.
But if not, we'll deal with it.
I got it.
Cool, thanks. And you're on.
Welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The music you're hearing now is the Balkan brass band Rakia, which I am a member. This tune is called Opa Opa. And Balkan brass music is a very wild and woolly kind of sound. It's also primarily dance music, and the people who are into this type of dancing, Balkan folk dancing, are really into it, and they know all the steps. And it's surprising to me that there's such a tradition of brass music. I'm playing euphonium here, not tuba. And that they have this long tradition of brass music playing this dance music, and people are dancing away and having a great time. The name of the band, Rakia, by the way, is also the name of a very strong liqueur made in the Balkans. My dentist actually is from Croatia, and he brought back with him from his last trip some rakia, some homemade rakia by his father-in-law. And I got to tell you, it packs a punch.
And that made it through TSA?
I couldn't believe it. He said he brought back like 1.5 liters of the stuff, and I said, how did you do that? How did you get that much liquid through security? He said, I was pretty sneaky about it. I don't think I want to tell you. Anyway, that was Rakia Brass Band. We play around L.A. for folk dancing and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun playing that music, and so I'm happy to bring a little bit to you. Now I want to talk with John in Rancho Cucamonga. Let's see. John, Rancho Cucamonga. Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Hello, Scott. How you doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Good. I have a question. I have a 2-story house. I would like to install speakers, but I can't do it because of the bedroom upstairs. What is the best wireless speakers I can get?
Ooh, you want to go wireless from the source in one room downstairs up to something?
Well, no, it's going to be downstairs. I'm going to mount the TV over my fireplace, but I can't place ceiling speakers because of the 2-story house situation.
Oh, I see. Well, first of all, before we get to speakers, let me ask you: is there any way you can mount the TV someplace other than over the fireplace? Because that is the worst place to put a TV.
Well, I have one of those new fireplaces where it's not really like it has an enclosed on the inside. Doesn't radiate that much heat.
But it's not the heat I'm concerned about. This is the common misconception that whenever I object to mounting this TV over the fireplace, it's because of the heat. It's not. It's because it puts the TV too high, and you have to end up craning your neck to watch it. And believe me, watching a 2-hour movie with your TV in that location, in that position, you're going to have a sore neck. No question about it.
Okay.
So I really strongly recommend you put the TV somewhere where it's the center of the screen is at eye level when you're seated. Wherever you're seated for watching TV or watching a movie, put the TV so that it's at eye level. I can't stress that strongly enough. That's really, really important.
Have you seen they make some kind of hinge drop mounts for that purpose?
They do, and that is one possibility. There's a drop mount you can get, and I know you wanted to talk about speakers, and we will in a sec. But there is a mount you can get that you put it over the fireplace, and then it's motorized, and it comes out and then drops down to a more reasonable height. But those are expensive. They're like $3,000 or something, you know. So it's not for everybody, and it's much better, in my opinion, to just put the TV at the right height to begin with. So that's my recommendation. Then as far as the speakers, so you want to put some sort of speakers in this room that you can't really mount them in the ceiling. I assume that you can't abide by floor standing speakers.
Correct. That I can't do.
Yeah. Or even bookshelf speakers. You don't have like bookshelf. Are you talking about the front speakers or the back speakers or both or all?
All of them.
All of them. Well, I will.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a combination of hardwood carpet for the flooring, so I'm limited as far as the flooring. Same thing with the ceiling. I'm kind of limited as far as the beams and, the corners coming down. I would love to mount them, but I would have to rip the whole ceiling or the whole floor up.
Right. Well, there is a type of speaker called an on-wall speaker. Now, you were mentioning in-wall speakers in which you have to drill a hole and stick them into the ceiling and patch them up and stuff. But there are what are called on-wall speakers, which mount on the wall or the ceiling. And you don't have to drill a hole, at least not a big one. There's still the cabling issue, and so we get back to your question about wireless. Now, there are a couple of companies that make wireless systems for any speaker. Axion, I think, is one. Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact name of them. Of course, what you're about to get to is there's really no such thing as a wireless speaker because...
Please, go ahead while I look up something here.
Yeah, there's really no such thing as a true wireless speaker because the speaker cable is actually delivering the power, the voltage that drives the speaker itself. And if you have a self-contained speaker and there's no speaker cable, that power has to come from somewhere else, which means you're going to have basically a electric cable. And a lot of these, they'll have like a very kind of skinny cable with a wall wart, a converter. But if you're going to have, let's say, 5 speakers, now you've got to find 5 electrical plugs and plug in all 5 of those speakers somewhere. So you're saving the hassle of the speaker cable and you're trading it off for finding electric plugs for all your speakers.
He speaks the truth.
What is the best way to go about it? I mean, how can I get a full set of speakers in my room? What would you recommend?
Can you put them on the wall? Here's another point I was going to make. Is putting the front speakers in particular on the ceiling, I don't like to do if I can help it, because you want the sound from the front to come from the same height, more or less, as the screen. If the sound is coming from way above your head, it takes you out of the immersive experience. The center speaker it's most important for, but all 3 fronts it's very important. So is there a wall you could put them on the wall in more at the level of that the TV is going to be? Hopefully not over the fireplace.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about building a bookshelf where the TV is now, but I guess I can build a bookshelf and have a stand for the TV and have the speakers placed next to it.
There you go.
The bookshelf.
If you can do that, that would be great. The Pioneer speakers designed by Andrew Jones are a fabulous, fabulous bookshelf speaker for very little money. So I can definitely recommend that. Computer in the chat room is also suggesting maybe a soundbar might be a good solution for you.
Okay.
And Polk makes good soundbars. They're a little more expensive than the ones we were talking about earlier. Vizio, Yamaha, depending on how much you want to spend. If you were going to go for real speakers, you might be able to spend a fair amount for a soundbar. Definitive Technology just introduced a beautiful soundbar at CEDIA last September. So that might be another good way to go.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your help.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Now, we only have a little bit of time before the end of is it the end of the hour already? My goodness, it goes fast. We were talking about wireless speakers. In fact, it goes so fast, it's done. We can't talk about wireless speakers anymore. Well, join us for next hour, please. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
was the fastest 20 seconds ever.
Yeah, really. Holy smokes. It's the end of the hour as we know it.
With technology constantly evolving and more people working remotely.
Yeah, the battery speakers, they suck such a huge amount of power, you end up stuffing like a bunch of 9 volts into them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, they're only going to give you so much juice to begin with, obviously.
Right. You're not going to get the volume out of them, for one thing.
And
Panahasi, are you listening?
And then, of course, if the whole point of it is convenience, how convenient is it going to be if after, whatever, 10 or 20 hours, you got to go around and replace your batteries all the time?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Now, you said you did have some experience with battery-powered wireless speakers?
I did. I don't remember the brand, but I just described my experience.
No, there you go.
Which is why they didn't last long.
Having to replace those batteries all the time would think to me to be a real problem.
Yeah, you know, I kind of joke. I'm not an electrical engineer, but I play one on TV. And, you know, you just have the physics, right? I mean, a speaker basically is taking, you know, electromagnetic energy and turning it into the physical energy of moving that speaker cone back and forth, and there needs to be juice to power that, and that juice has got to come from somewhere.
Right, and batteries just don't have a lot of juice. Yeah, exactly right. So anyway, there it is. Oh yeah, GizWiz is going to be on today, as far as I know. Alex, have you talked to Dick at all? I think he's going to be on.
I think he's on for the last segment.
He's the last segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's, I think, going to hang around after the show to do his
show.
Yeah.
But I don't need to do that.
Right.
Okay, good.
Oh, there's a brilliant suggestion.
Yeah.
Tesla coil.
Power the speakers with a Tesla coil. That'll do it.
What could possibly go wrong there?
Except for lightning bolts throughout your house? Yeah, I like it. I like it just fine.
That's not a bug, that's a feature.
Furniture guy, we need wireless power transmission, and we're all set. Yes, we do.
How many segments is Peter Ramsey going to be on?
Just one, as far as I know. Yes, Linux Lurker, batteries have a humongous amount of juice if they're big enough. Sure, just put a car battery in with each speaker. That'll be real convenient.
Do you want me to put his picture on the monitor when he's on?
Sure. That's a good idea. Thank you. Excellent. What LCD should we be looking for at Black Friday? You know, I could do a Black Friday segment. Why don't I do that? Coming up in the next hour. We still have some phone calls, including Walter in West Virginia that I really want to get to because he's asking to compare the high-def picture of DirecTV and Dish. Which I happen to have experience with. The Tesla coil is the speaker. Well, you know, you've heard of plasma speakers, right? Plasma tweeters.
Mm-hmm.
They're these arc tweeters, the 6,000 volts between, and it gets an arc, and that actually it resonates or vibrates the air molecules directly. I've never actually heard one, but I've seen pictures of them, and they look really cool.
No, but I mean, you know, ESL, electrostatic speakers, I mean, they've got a transformer, and they're putting out some significant wattage.
Yeah, exactly right. Web 8504, I am sitting on the ball. The Leo Laporte ball. I actually like it. Is that like a flame speaker? Yeah, it's kind of like a flame speaker. Let me pull up my Black Friday notes. Ding Chow, Datacolor Spider 4, junk or good? I think it's okay. I don't think it's really great.
Prefer Calman?
Well, Calman is the software. Spider is the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of these little puck things.
Oh, yes, right. Okay.
That sits on the screen. Mm-hmm. It's what's called a tri-stimulus meter, which means it's only sensitive to certain colors of red, green, and blue.
This is
I just want to make sure I don't miss
our
in.
Will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier
and
Radio.
So, you know, the software has to make compensations depending on what type of display you are measuring. But it's inexpensive. There are other inexpensive ones that I think are better. And the names escape me at the moment. If SoCal Ray Jr. is in the chat room, I know you can mention you can mention some of the ones. There are some that are around $1,000 that are quite good. The Spider is in the $200 or $300 range, something like that, and it isn't that good.
You know, you'd think if the idea is at that point what you're really looking for is a calibration of your set for $200 or $300, you could just go get an ISF or THX certified technician to do it for you.
Exactly. Unless you're a total geek and want to do it yourself.
Which would be why you're listening to the show in the first place.
Exactly.
From Premier Radio Network.
Okay, let me just make sure have I got... Get my Black Friday thing up here. Welcome back, Susan.
Is it still raining? Is it still raining?
You are tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Radio
I'm pretty sure Atlantic Technology has a wireless system, and it's not Axion, maybe Axiom.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte,
that
the
ain't
Tech
it
Guy,
either.
will begin at 6 minutes.
I can't remember what it's called.
From Premier Radio Networks.
Hello, John.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour.
Pardon?
From Premier Radio Networks.
I agree. Sorry?
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7.
Yeah, I have heard of
Leo
those.
Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Do you remember who
will
makes
begin
them?
at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Radio Networks.
There are flat panel speakers. I haven't found any that sounded that good, though.
I'm talking about speaker cables.
Oh. Oh, I see what you mean.
There's a sheet of paper.
Sure. That's a good point.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour.
Keep reaching for the wrong
Premier
mouse.
Radio Network.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. On in 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello there. Welcome. Happy Saturday to you. Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who's off on a fabulous Australian cruise. And while he's away, the home theater geeks will play. So here we are in the last hour of the show. I have with me Ross Jones, senior editor at Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity at hometheaterhifi.com. Thanks so much for being here, Ross.
This is much better than a cruise any day.
I have to agree. You know, we're not getting seasick.
There you go. That's the upside. That's right.
For example, that's right. Also in the Peanut Gallery are Susan and John Johnson, the founders of Secrets of Home Theater and High Fidelity, one of the oldest home theater websites on the web, and one which I am very happy now to be contributing to. You know what next Friday is, don't you?
Black Friday.
Black Friday, yeah. And, of course, it's the day when, after we're stuffed with turkey and stuffing and pecan pie and all that stuff, we're expected to get up at stupid o'clock and go out and buy. Well, I've done, as I do every year, I've done a survey of some of the Black Friday ads that are now out there. I like to go to bfads.net because I can search for TVs and other types of electronics specifically, because of course there's so much out there that's going to be on sale, and I wanted to focus on the types of products that I cover: TVs, speakers, receivers, that sort of thing, Blu-ray players. And I want to say there's been some questions in the chat room. There was one not long ago about Best Buy's captive brand called Insignia. This is a TV brand. And they were asking, is that a good deal? And I have to say, I haven't done any formal reviews of the captive brands like Insignia, like Dynex, like Scepter. I don't think is a captive brand, but it is certainly a bargain brand. And I haven't done my official reviews of those yet, and I want to, because I want to see if there's anything there that's worth anything. But until I do, I have to stick with the known brands. I'm not saying that those are bad necessarily. I'm just saying I just don't know. So of the brands that I do know, what I found very interesting in the bfads.net website is that I found very few Panasonic plasma TVs on deep sale. I was quite surprised at that. Last year there were a ton. This year there were a few at the very low end of Panasonic's lineup, but nothing really in the range of the ST30, for example, which is my favorite Panasonic plasma for the budget conscious. I think the 50-incher is probably in the $1,200 or $1,500 range, something like that. And it's probably less on Black Friday, but I didn't see any ads for it, and I was disappointed. What I did see was a lot of ads for Samsung, and mostly LED TVs. Now, for those of you who don't know, you hear this term LED TV, and you go, ooh, LED, it must be good. Well, it's a misnomer. It's a marketing thing. All it means is an LCD TV, your average everyday LCD TV, but instead of having fluorescent lights as a backlight, it uses LEDs. So I like to call it an LED LCD TV, because it's an LCD TV that uses LEDs for lighting rather than fluorescence. And that's what's most common today. In fact, it's almost ubiquitous. I was talking to a guy at Sharp, I think, who said that fluorescent lights are basically gone because they have mercury in them, and so it's very difficult to recycle these TVs in an environmentally responsible way. And LEDs have a much better carbon footprint, should we say, or environmental profile. So it makes it much better and more easy to follow the various rules that are starting to come out now about e-waste. So I found a bunch of Samsung TVs that had a good sale price on them. I'm looking here at Best Buy, for example, is advertising a 55-inch LED TV at 240 hertz, and we'll talk about what that means with a caller who's coming up here in a minute, for $800, 55-incher, list price $1,300. That's a 38.5% savings. Pretty good, pretty good. At Dell, which I think you can only buy online, I don't know if Dell has actual brick and mortar stores, but in any event, they're selling a Samsung UN55 EH6000, my favorite Samsung LED budget TV. Really great TV. 55-inch for $880. List price $1,400, 37% off. That seems really good to me. Now, Vizio is also big in the Black Friday ads. The M650 VSE is their midline 65-inch TV, $998. Under $1,000, $1,500 list, 33.5% savings, and that's at Sam's Club. So that, and Vizio TVs I generally like quite a bit. They're not the best you can get, but they do a very credible job, and I'm very happy that to see them. They're already inexpensive, but with Black Friday, you're going to be able to save a bit more. There are some plasmas, by the way, Samsung's in particular. At Dell again, the PN51E530 plasma. That's a 51-inch plasma TV for $580. $900 list, 35% off. It's also at Sears for the same price. So right there, you can get that pretty cheap. Kmart has the LG 50 PA5500 plasma, 50-inch plasma, for $550, down from $700. It's not as big a savings at 21.4%. Let's see, what else have we got? Oh, you know what? Klipsch speakers are always on sale for Black Friday. Big time. You've probably heard Klipsch speakers.
I have heard and reviewed Klipsch speakers.
And you like them generally?
Yeah, they are. Well, they're, particularly horn speakers, they have a unique sound characteristic to them, and some people like them and others don't.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything, and more particularly speakers than anything else, they have a sonic signature, a character to them. And so you do need to go listen to them and read reviews such as yours to find out, which ones are really good. But here we have the Klipsch Icon 6.5-inch woofers, the floor standers, each $175, half off, 50% off. If you want the 8-inchers, these are both from Best Buy, those are $225 each, again half off, 50% off these Klipsch Icon speakers. I'd probably go for the 8-inchers, just because. We also have at Newegg Definitive Technology. They didn't give the model number, but they're bipolar floor standers, which means that the sound comes out of the back of the speaker as much as from the front. So you have to place them a little carefully. You can't put them right up against the wall, right? You must have dealt with bipolar speakers.
Yeah, there's different issues because you're getting major reflections out of the back of the speaker enclosure, and if it's pushed up against a wall, you're going to get those reflections, and that's going to have a significant impact on your sound.
Exactly. But if you can place them right, the specs are 22 hertz to 30 kilohertz, which you might believe or not, but $200, 60% off. That's at Newegg. So, that's some pretty serious savings. We also have some streamers, streaming devices, Roku at Best Buy for about 20 to 30% off. Netgear Neo TV, 20% off at Staples. And several Blu-ray players, too. I mean, Blu-ray players. We'll talk about those as soon as we get back, and then we'll get right to the phones. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
Sorry? Oh, absolutely.
And look like you're saying something really profound. So maybe something interesting to talk about after the break on those Black Friday deals for the TV is, at that price range, is there a distinct benefit to plasma as opposed to LCD?
Well, I always say there is, so we'll talk about that. Oh, you know what? No, the next segment is Peter Ramsey. Sorry, got to get ready for Peter Ramsey.
Does it so you don't have to think about it. Plus, you can access your backup files on your smartphone or your iPad with that free Carbonite app.
So, Kyle, have we got Peter Ramsey on the phone?
Or Mac, just $59 a year. And if you run a small business, Carbonite also has plans that'll back up all of your computers, servers, and hard drives for one low, flat annual fee. Start your free trial.
Elvis has left the building.
You don't need a credit card. You just need my name, Leo.
Scott?
Yes, Kyle.
You'll get
He's calling us, correct?
Correct. He should be calling you.
Okay, we're watching the hotline.
Okay, very good. I gave him that number.
People working remotely from different offices on the go can really...
Cool, I'll keep you posted.
Thanks.
While keeping all your systems running smoothly.
Cross our fingers here for this one.
So are all these LCDs, are these local dimming sets now?
Almost none.
Really? At the low end?
Yes. And even at the high end, Samsung doesn't make any that are local dimming. They'll claim they're local dimming with edge lit, you know, that their edge lighting and their light guide plates and so on can magically dim different parts of the image.
Also, with GoToAssist monitoring, you'll become a support hero. Inventory, monitor, and manage all your devices, servers, and networks. Get proactive alerts when things go bad so you can fix them fast. I think you're going to love GoToAssist.
Samsung, are you sure?
I want you to try it free for 30 days. Visit GoToAssist.com. Click the Try It Free button. The promo code is Leo. GoToAssist.com. Use the
Where
promo
did you see
code
that?
Leo. Try it today.
I have to go look, because Sure. Well, actually, Samsung does have full array in their EH5000 and 6000 series, but it's not local dimming. And those aren't 3D either, or smart TV, so those aren't the ones. Those are at the low end. If it's 3D and smart TV and full array local dimming, are you sure it wasn't Sony? It was Samsung. Wow. Seriously. Well, I need to go look at that thing. If that's true, then that's news to me, that Samsung has a full array local dimmer. Because I thought all of their TVs were edge-lit, except for those few.
What was the price, JJ?
For a 55? That's not cheap.
Yeah, it's a pretty limited market for that.
Then there's the Sharp Elite, which is, like $8,000.
Think they'll ever bring back the Kuro line?
No, I don't. I still have mine.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
So we've got 40 seconds left. No Peter.
Ooh.
Is there any way we can call him?
I don't think so. No, because he was going to call in because he didn't know where he was going to be.
Okay.
That's too bad. Well, we'll just fake it, and hopefully he'll call in.
You want me to be Peter Ramsey? Is that what you're saying?
No. I don't want you to know. Just switch the bumper music. Don't play the Peter Ramsey bumper music right now. If you can.
If I can.
It's a challenge.
All right, Scott, you're on.
Welcome back. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What you're hearing here is more music from the Renaissance Fair, played by the Southern California Early Music Consort, the band that I played in for many years with the Renaissance Fair, at the Renaissance Fair. And here we would have been playing for dancers from the court, skipping, tripping, high heels, and all that jazz, while the Queen politely clapped her hands. Oh! And I'm not sure what that was. I think it was the music for the next segment.
Dramatic.
It was dramatic. And it wasn't Renaissance, I'll tell you that for sure. Anyway, we were talking about Black Friday deals, and I wanted to just finish up with that. Wow. Maybe I won't finish up with that. This sounds like... I know what this is.
All right, he's there.
Very good. Well, we do have a guest this segment, and we weren't sure that he was going to call in time, but here he is. This music is from the new DreamWorks animation movie, Rise of the Guardians, which opens on November 21st. So it hasn't even been released yet. It will open in the theaters next week. I was fortunate enough to see a preview screening of this movie, and I have to tell you, it's fantastic. It looks gorgeous. The 3D is spectacular. And we have as a guest for this segment the director of that movie, Peter Ramsey. Peter, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, it's more than a pleasure. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. How about yourself?
Oh, doing good. Just excited for the opening.
Oh, man, it's coming up next week, huh?
That's right, yeah, the 21st.
Yeah.
On Needles.
On Pins and Needles, exactly right. Now, give us a quick summary of the premise of this movie, because it really is very creative.
Well, yeah, it's based. The movie's based on an idea by the children's book author and illustrator William Joyce. And Bill basically, once upon a time, I had a conversation with his daughter, and she asked him, "Dad, do Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy know each other?" Yeah, it's a true story. And that kind of sent Bill off on this odyssey because, you know, he's a super creative guy, great writer and illustrator, and started inventing this whole mythology and history and set of backstories for all these characters that, you know, all of us, we think we know, but really we don't know that much about it all. And Bill was kind of doing this all in a way to answer his daughter. And, you know, he brought this idea to DreamWorks Animation, and of course everybody there got super excited about it. And years later, here we are.
Now, it was several years in the making, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, I've been on, practically 4 years, and there's hundreds of people, animators, artists, technicians, you know, just, you can't imagine how much work goes into making one of these things, but it's pretty astounding.
Yeah, now, this is your first feature-length film, is it not?
That's right.
So how did you get involved?
Well, I'd been at DreamWorks for several years, like, I guess like 4 years by the time this project was kind of up and running, and I directed a TV special based on Monsters vs. Aliens. I had been a story artist on several other films there, and the studio just thought that I might be a good fit for this. And, you know, I got the call, and I was kind of blown away because it's a huge project. I was really excited about the idea of reinventing all these icons of childhood. You know, it's kind of a daunting task, but, you know, the idea of being able to make a fantasy epic, something that was going to be big and bold and colorful and just fun. It's just like a big superhero movie. You know, that combination of elements, really exciting and fresh to me.
With the superheroes being Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy,
exactly.
Jack Frost.
There's superheroes who get their powers from being believed in, and they're in kind of this epic battle against the boogeyman.
Right, and great voice talent, too. Alec Baldwin as Santa Claus, doing a great Russian accent, actually.
That's right.
And I love the fact that he's got tattooed on one arm, naughty, and on the other arm, nice.
Yeah, that's true of our version of Santa and also of Alec Baldwin. So.
Yeah, right. And let's see, Chris Pine as Jack Frost, and
fresh from Star Trek, and he plays another kind of dashing hero with you know, a real conflict and some real angst going on underneath. So it's perfect for Chris, and he does an amazing job.
Absolutely.
It's his first animated film work too.
Oh, really? And Jude Law is the boogeyman. Pitch Black, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
And he is super, super creepy, man.
Yeah, that silky voice coming out of the shadows. It's you don't want to stop listening to him, but at the same time, you know something bad's about to happen when there's British bad guy coming.
Now, I have to tell you, I really love the 3D in this movie. I know that DreamWorks, Jeffrey Katzenberg has said that every DreamWorks animation movie coming out in the future will be 3D. And, boy, it's so effective here.
Yeah. Well, you know, because Jeffrey so, you know, believes in 3D so much as a way to make these bigger experiences for the audience. You know, we really work hard from the very beginning, planning the whole thing in 3D. You know, it's not something that we just slap on afterwards. We're really like designing sets and lighting and all this stuff to try to draw the audience as much as possible into the movie with the 3D. So we had such big colorful worlds in this one that it really lent itself to 3D.
And you were telling me at the party after the screening that the 3D actually supports the movie emotionally and story-wise, and you use it in different ways in different parts of the movie. How did that work?
Exactly. Well, we have this thing we call it the 3D script, and basically what that is, it's kind of a chart that we make that shows every single scene, every single shot in the movie, and how we're going to use the 3D. Because, you know, if we've got a really intimate scene between two characters, we kind of make the depth shallower. We make less depth so we can be closer to those characters in an intimate moment. Sometimes when there's a big, you know, a scary scene or a big dramatic scene or a big shock, sometimes we'll open up the space so there's a lot of distance, so you really feel the space. And sometimes in our movie, we do both things at the same time in one shot just to freak people out. So there's really cool, subtle things you can do to kind of work on people's perceptions without them really knowing. And that's part of the real beauty of what you can do with a tool like 3D.
I agree that in many cases, 3D, it can almost take you out of the picture. But in this particular case, it really drew you in. And I never found myself going, oh, that's 3D. You know, it just became part of the experience and really worked very well.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. Yeah, we did it right.
I think you did it right. I really do. And believe me, I'm a 3D supporter. I really like it. And but I also know when it's done wrong. And in some cases, it's done very, very wrong. And you guys really did it right. So I want to commend you. And I encourage everyone to go see Rise of the Guardians, directed by Peter Ramsey, my guest for this segment. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure, man. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek.
I got you there. It worked out because we left on Peter's. Here, you want to talk to Peter? Can you put Peter back on home?
You know what, actually?
Here, when Gina puts him back on home. And we're in the local, so you're good.
Good,
you
thanks.
Can pick him up. All right, here he is.
Peter, you there? Hello, Peter.
Hey, how are you, man?
Hey, good. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Do you think that worked well live?
Oh, great. Perfect. We slotted it in good time-wise, and we got through almost everything I was going to ask you. The only thing left was, what's next for you? But, we want to...
Oh, right, yeah. Well, that's good, because I don't even know anyway.
Okay, good. Well, I hope we helped get people to the movie, because I myself really loved it. And I'm not just saying that because you were kind enough to be on the show. I really do think it's a fabulous movie, and I do encourage people to see it. So thanks again for being here.
Hey, it was my pleasure. Thanks so much. It means so much to hear that people like it, so thank you.
You bet. All right, take good care of yourself.
Hey, same to you. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. We'll take some calls next.
Cool, and then I'm going to have a carbonite billboard for you coming into this segment.
Into this segment? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. And that's your last billboard for the
Cool.
day.
It's a very creative idea. Taking the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny and turning them into superheroes or whatever. I mean, just that and by itself is enough of a hook to get someone. It gets me interested in it.
Yep. I forgot to mention the voice of the Easter Bunny is Hugh Jackman, and he's great. I forget the name. I didn't recognize the name of the woman who plays the Tooth Fairy, but she's very good too.
When he was talking about Jude Law, it's just so stereotypical. You get someone with a clipped British accent, right? Being
to play
the villain,
the bad guy. Yeah.
And I was thinking, what, Alan Rickman wasn't available?
Right, exactly. Oh, I was going to play my new instrument. Maybe next time. Maybe after the show. Not on the air, but.
What is it?
It's a Chinese instrument called a ulusi. I got it at Clarion Music in San Francisco as I was driving through San Francisco the other day. It's a really cool instrument.
Okay, so is there just the one register there in the middle, or the?
Well, no, these are drones. These two outer things are drones. I'll give you a little hint. And then you can open this. And then you can open this.
Are the drones fixed pitch?
Yeah. Yeah, fixed pitch, either on or off. Well, I'm not playing it in a traditional way. If somebody, I don't know the tunes. If somebody knew the tunes, I heard the guy at Clarion is a Chinese guy, and he played it for me, and he knows what he's doing.
So what the notes? What's the open pitch?
It's
what mode is it?
It's in B flat, and it's basically a major scale, I think.
Hey, Scott.
Yes, Kyle.
All right, 10 seconds, and you're going to play us into that break.
Okay.
All right?
You want me to play this into the break?
Yeah, you got to give me 30 seconds of it.
Okay.
And then you got to go into a carbonite read. Let's nail it.
All right.
And go. You're on.
Believe it or not, that was me playing live on the radio. A brand new instrument I just bought in San Francisco on my way up here. I drove up from L.A., made a road trip out of it. Spent a couple days in my alma mater hometown of Santa Cruz. And then on my way through San Francisco, I stopped at my favorite music store, Clarion Music, which has all kinds of ethnic instruments, and bought this one, which is called a hulusi from China. And it's basically a reed instrument, as you can hear, with a couple of drone pipes and then a finger pipe that you can play melodies on. So I just now got it a couple days ago, so I'm pretty new at it, but Kyle wanted everyone to hear it, so there it is. Let's go to the phones, shall we? There's a call waiting here for a long time, and oh, you know what? He left. Doggone it. Well, I'm just going to go somewhere else then. I've got Cameron on from Corona, California. Hey, Cameron. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome to the show. Hello? Looks like we got somebody in the background there. Let us instead go to Chuck in Missouri. Chuck in Missouri. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte. Welcome.
Hi, Scott. I don't know if you could truly consider yourself a Renaissance musician unless at some point you've been involved in a performance of that Renfest classic, Quite Like a Moose.
No, you know what? Maybe I can't truly call myself a Renaissance musician because I've never actually played that piece, but...
Oh, it's a great song. And my question is, I'm going old school. I've got a large collection of VHS tapes, many of which I would like to archive or copy on a DVD. But I've even got one of those decks with a VHS player, DVD player, recorder. But because of the copy protection, of course, I can't just directly record them. Is there any method that you would recommend to that I would allow me to copy those on a DVD before the tapes degrade to they're unwatchable?
Yeah, well, you are going to get to that point at some time. So most of these are commercial VHS tapes, right, that you bought?
Right, and many of them are old movies that aren't even, I'm not even available. If I had the money to go out and replace them, they're not even available anymore.
On DVD, yeah, exactly. Boy, you know, that's a really good question. You're talking about Macrovision copy protection, which scrambles the video when you try to copy it. Now, it's possible, I suppose, to take the video output of the VHS VCR and plug it into the input of a DVD recorder. You know, I mean, the signal is going to the TV. It looks fine, so it should look fine going to the DVD recorder as well. But I must admit, I have never done that before. Certainly those dual decks that you get with a VHS on one side and a DVD recorder on the other side probably won't work because of the copy protection. There has to be a way to do it. I bet you the chat room will come up with a solution. So Art Chandra, in fact, is saying Macrovision isn't so much scrambling as it is messing with the automatic gain control. I believe that's true, but it still makes it totally unwatchable. So tell you what, keep listening, and let me see. Oh, there's a filter you might be able to buy. Illuminati in the chat room, nice name by the way, bought a filter that might solve that problem. But I must admit, I don't know the answer to that. So Duckfeed is saying, chat room, wake up. So keep listening, and hopefully we'll get an answer from the chat room here before too long.
There's.
Hang on a second. Ross has something to say. I apologize. Hang on.
I don't think there's an easy answer. Is the problem you're dealing with? There's various programs you can. Yeah, there's programs that you can buy for a computer that will allow you to basically input an analog video and audio signal into your computer and essentially convert it to digital and record it. But I believe those all operate on real time. And depending on your settings, they take up an enormous amount of your hard drive space. So you can do it. It's not very efficient space-wise and time-wise.
This is what I was suggesting, too, was doing it in real time, taking the video output, playing the tape, and playing it into a DVD recorder. But I think putting it into a computer is a better solution.
Which would be acceptable to me. I mean, I don't mind doing it in real time or having somebody do it in real time. It's not that many, but I can take my time doing it. I've tried 2 or 3 different ways, and I mean, DVDs we can go to DCSS and stuff, but with the videotapes, I just haven't found any way that seems to work.
I think the only way to do it is to do it in real time, as Ross suggests, and I suggested also, which is to send it by video into a computer. I think a computer is a better way to go because then you can do a little editing. You could change it up if you wanted to, rather than just transferring it to a DVD recorder. But either way would probably work. It would just take time. And
okay, what kind of a card would I have to add to get the video input, that analog or whatever video input into the computer?
It's called a video capture card. And R. Chandra in the chat room is referring to Opage, which is HAPPAUGUE or something like that. It's a weird name. But there are many companies that make video capture cards, which is what you want if you don't already have that capability in your computer. And then from the computer you need DVD burning software, and I'm afraid I don't know.
Which I have that.
You have that, so that's not a problem. Opage, here it is, HAUPPAUGE. Uncle Bick 2 in the chat room has a link to newegg.com, which is a very long link, and so in any event, there are ways to do it. So that would be the best way to do it that we know of, as far as we know at this point. But if we come up with any better ideas, we'll certainly let you know.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, sir.
My pleasure. By the way, I was reminded by the chat room that we do have show notes. James DeRuvo is presumably writing down everything we say here, and these will all be on techguylabs.com before very long at all, probably later today or tomorrow. Tomorrow, in fact.
1 minute.
And that will have all the answers that we've given today and all the stuff we've talked about, and perhaps even more. So we hope to see what's going on there. So let us go from Corona. Let's see if Cameron's back with us. Cameron, are you on with us?
Yes.
There he is from Corona, California. Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. How can we help you?
I've got a quick question about, I guess, home theater type stuff. I bought a 60-inch flat screen. I'm posted on the wall, and I've got to get an HDMI from quite a long way over to it. And I have 2 questions, quick ones. One is there a wireless HDMI solution? And the other one would be, if there isn't, does it matter how long the HDMI wire is as far as, picture being even with the sound and all that good stuff?
Yeah, the answer to both questions is yes, and I'll get to it as soon as we get back from this break. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good work, clear.
Now, we have, Alex, do we have Dickie D coming up? Has he checked in yet? Sorry?
You know when you call and ask what tech guy recommends, I've always told you Epson printers. I'm a big...
Just a heads up, Scott, you do have that last live read.
I'm sorry, say again, please?
You do have that last Leo live read here, too. So
Oh.
What he usually does, he goes to Dick, and then he uses him for about 2/3 of the segment, talking with him, and then takes his live read and comes back. Maybe one call if you have time after that.
Okay, probably won't.
With the attachment you want.
Yeah, but that's where it's built into the show. So.
Okay, so I just need to throw to a live read or to a read.
Yeah, and if it's easier for you to do it first, you can come in, finish up this call with him if you want to, do the live read, and then go into Dick.
Let me do that. That's perfect.
Cool, let's do that.
Okay, good.
Print, giving you more options than ever. And the best part, Epson Connect.
Hey, Dick, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
I'm good, thanks. We're having all kinds of fun.
I can see. I've been watching for the last half hour.
Good, good, good. So how are you? Have you survived Superstorm Sandy well enough?
Yeah,
Is your boat okay?
The boat's okay. The marina got really creamed, but the boats did very well.
Wow.
So,
well, I guess a rising tide floats all boats, huh?
Yes, and the people who put their boats on land had tremendous damage because the tide went up into the marinas and sucked the boats into the river.
Wow, wow.
So, really, it's never happened before.
Incredible.
Mailing label without extra type. Send tracking information to recipients.
Well, good. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to come back and finish answering this call real quick.
Well, sure.
Leo has a message in a bottle for us. And
okay.
Then I'll come to you. How's that?
That's fine. Anything works.
Great.
Bonus offer. It includes a digital.
Just a heads up, though, the caller, Cameron, he ended up hanging up, though.
Oh, well, okay.
I put him back on hold. So, I mean...
That's all right. I want to finish that question because it's a good question.
Yeah, perfect. I just wanted to let you know so when you're live, you're not going back to him.
Great, thanks. So, Dick, did you ever manage to get over to see the Gene Dolgoff's thing? Probably not.
I didn't. You know, first of all, the trains didn't run for a week.
Yeah,
and,
I figured as much.
But I ran into a friend of yours, and he showed me something new that he swears you haven't seen. So
cool. So that's what you're going to talk about today?
That's what I'm talking about, right.
Perfect, perfect. What friend is that?
Jim Noyd.
Oh, yeah. I know Jim very well.
Okay. So that's a big hint.
I have a feeling what it'll be about.
Yes, exactly.
Rhymes with Wizzio.
Yes, exactly. So, TV capture cards at Newegg. Uncle Bick has given me a tiny URL. I appreciate that. I'll pass that
Jim does the PR for Stewart also, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Stewart, Vizio, DVDO, Wisdom Audio. They've got some new on-walls, I think, too. Kevin Dublin, Disneyland. I like it. Is that something you came up with, Dick?
Yeah.
Disneyland. I like it.
Scott, what you can do is you can pull up Newegg on that computer and then just do a search for Hop Hog.
Oh, okay.
And then just tell tell Cameron to just go to Newegg and search for that, and then you can actually scroll through a list of what they have and recommend one of them. And then I can show that screenshot.
I'm gonna give you a Led Zeppelin song here, and then I'll give you your track going into Dick out of the live read.
Okay, cool.
Can't ever go wrong with Led Zeppelin.
And you're on.
You ever done Led Zeppelin?
Hey guys, you're on.
It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now, this is not some of my music. This is Led Zeppelin. Now, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I love Led Zeppelin. I've been listening for many years. And we're rocking out here in the studio. It just isn't me, which is fine. We're in the last segment of the show today. I'm quite sad that it will soon be over, but come back tomorrow by all means when I'll be here again for another 3 hours. Now, I just wanted to quickly finish up the last call, which was he was asking about wireless HDMI and long HDMI cable runs because his source equipment is in one part of the room and his TV's in another part of the room. How does he do it? Well, there is wireless HDMI. You can't officially call it that because it's not licensed by the HDMI Licensing Bureau. They call it wireless HD, and WHDI is another one. Let's see. DVDO makes one called the DVDO Air. And I just got one, as a matter of fact. I haven't hooked it up yet, but as soon as I get back home, I'm going to hook it up and give it a try. That one works only within the room. It doesn't go across walls, through walls into another room. But within a single room, it seems to work pretty good. So that would be one solution in terms of wireless HDMI. There are a couple of others as well, and it's a technology that has come a long ways. I've been following it for several years. You don't use it, Ross, do you?
Not wireless, but I've used a 50-foot HDMI cable to connect from a receiver to a projector, and I haven't had any problems with it.
Haven't had any problems with it. 50 feet is longer than HDMI really recommends.
I know that.
So that is an argument for HDMI cables that actually are a little more expensive. I always say that if you've got a short cable run, it almost doesn't matter. You can buy cheapies. Monoprice is a great place to get inexpensive cable. But if you're going to run 50 feet or more, you do want a little higher quality, and that would be a reason to do that. But HDMI is beautiful because it's digital, and it works well until it doesn't, and then it's gone. So I definitely do recommend that you get good HDMI cables, a little more expensive perhaps, for those longer runs. But wireless is coming along as far as the technology is concerned. And I'm looking forward to trying out the Air myself. I think it's going to work out very well for me because I have an HDMI cable running across my ceiling from my equipment rack to the projector. This is the Cabrillo College Alumni Jazz Band, in which I'm playing trombone. This tune is called Bebop Charlie, but I chose it in order to change its name to Bebop Dickie, because right now on the line with us is Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and the host of the Giz Wiz podcast on the TWiT network. And Dick, I chose this tune especially for you, and I see you're rocking out just fine.
I'm dancing up a storm as we speak. I just shut the mirrored ball so it wouldn't affect your camera.
Oh, thank you so very much. I really appreciate that.
You think I'm kidding. I do have a mirrored ball here in Disneyland.
Yeah. And I love that name, too, Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I'm not at all surprised you have a mirrored ball there. You have everything else.
I do. And in fact... I also have a gadget. I show weird stuff, and I thought, this time, let me get something that might fit more in with what Scott does. So I was at an event Thursday night called PepCom.
Oh, yeah, I know PepCom.
PepCom, okay. And I see a big Vizio display.
Of course.
And I meet a man there named Jim Noyd, and I said, Jim, I'm doing this thing on Saturday, the tech guy with Scott. He said, what, Scott Wilkinson? I said, yeah. He said, oh, yeah, send him my regards. I said... So they were showing a new 70-inch TV.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, has Scott seen this? And he said, no, because we're premiering it here tonight, unless you went out to the factory or something. So he said, Scott has not seen the new 70-inch. And I thought, since you know so much about flat screens, have you seen the 70-inch, Scott?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay. I wanted you to guess the price because I heard you earlier talking about TVs. This is what they did tell me, that in 3 years, the price of their 60-inch is the price that people paid for the 42-inch back in October 2009.
Yes, and this is the way that this is the way of all consumer electronics, and especially TVs, which operate on razor-thin margins.
I can imagine, because 70, this is a big set, and it's not as thin. I have an Olivia TV, Scott,
which is a great TV.
Yes, they went out of business like 5 years ago.
I actually still have one myself.
Oh, good. Okay. And, I looked all over the Vizio, and it's not razor thin like some of the others. It's 2 inches thick, and the little bezel around the side is maybe 3/4 of an inch instead of 1/4 of an inch. But I only know the list price. So you want to take a shot at the list price of the E701i. So it's the 70-inch LCD.
From their E series, which is their entry-level series.
Right.
I'm going to say $1,500.
Okay, now this sort of amazed me too, because the 60-inch is $999.
Oh man, that's list price.
Yes, but the 70-inch, Scott, is $1999.
Okay, so I underwent a little bit.
But I'm thinking, I heard you saying Black Friday, so I don't know if there are enough of these in the marketplace that there's going to be a Black Friday price for it. But I would be very happy with the 60-inch, because what is that, 5 feet already?
Yeah. Now, is this a 3D set?
No, it is not 3D. The E-Series is not 3D.
Okay, I didn't think so. What about...
I'm sort of in Leo's category. I'm not a 3D person either. Leo and I are the only people at TWiT who probably aren't 3D.
Well,
Leo and I stand together and we make 3D, but independently we're both 2D. Yes.
Absolutely. Now, is the E-Series a smart TV? Does it have the Vizio
It's
internet
a smart
apps?
TV. Yes, it does. You can get all the apps on it, so it is a smart TV. 1080p, obviously.
Sure.
The remote control has the nice QWERTY keyboard on the back.
Right.
Automatic room lighting, SRS sound system.
Which is actually pretty good.
Yeah. He said we do the best we can with the speakers in it, but I told him, I said, obviously, someone who's going to buy the 60 or the 70 is not buying it for the built-in speakers.
Yeah, right.
1 minute.
Yeah, I don't want the TV. I just need it for the speakers.
Right, exactly. I never understood why some of those apps in those smart TVs had like Pandora radio and some audio-only thing.
Yes, this one does too, and I'm not quite sure why either.
Who's going to listen to the radio or music on their TV speakers? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, but to improve the sound of the TV without buying a soundbar, which Vizio makes, of course, it's not a bad TV sound as TV sound goes. I have to say that.
Right, and I've heard you on other shows say that you like Vizio in its price range. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. I really like Vizio in its price range. I think if people are looking for a bargain on a big flat panel, and this is the biggest example we know from Vizio, certainly, it's really a great way to go. Sharp has a 90-inch now, but that's, several $1,000s. It's big-time money. So, hey, listen, Dick, thank you so much for being here. Everybody stick around for the Giz Wiz. Coming up next, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte. Geek out.
Geek out.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the TWiT Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.